Well, hello there. This is Brian from Troubled Waters. Hope you're starting off on a great day. It is absolutely beautiful here. Really enjoying the sunshine, and I spent some time alone with the Lord today, and it's just so refreshing. It just inspires your soul. And so, with that, I want to continue a podcast that I'm starting on the cost of sin. And today, this is the cost of sin that Jesus faced for my sin. We're going to be in John chapter 18, and I'll read out of verses 19 through 24. So today's topic is the cost of sin of false interrogation and aggressive interrogation. So we'll start here in verse 19. So this is right after Jesus had been arrested, and I mean like right after, and that's important to note. You know, in the U.S., you have to be processed when you're arrested, you're arraigned, they tell you what the charges are. But listen to Jesus' situation. They're literally bringing him in. And this is how it starts. Now, he's before the leaders of the Jews, the high priest, and Sadducees and the Pharisees. Then the high priest then asked Jesus about his disciples and about his doctrine. Jesus answered him. He said, I spoke openly to the world. I always taught in the synagogues and in the temple, where the Jews always meet, and in secret I have said nothing. Why do you ask me? Ask those who've heard me what I said to them. Indeed, they know what I said. And when he had said these things, one of the officers that stood by Jesus, one of the officers that stood by him struck him on the face with the palm of his hand, saying, Do you answer the high priest like that? Jesus answered him, If I have spoken evil, bear witness of the evil. But if well, why do you strike me? Then Annas sent him bound to Caiaphas, the high priest. My sin, folks, cost Jesus a false interrogation. If you remember, we talked about this when the paralytic was led down through the roof. There were 4 guys that cut an opening in the roof where Jesus was speaking. So I'm on point number 1. Point number 1 that I see for this, he's answering a false interrogation, and the aim of that interrogation is to indict himself. Jesus' answer was totally correct. That's where I'm going with this. When the paralytic was laid down through the roof, there was a great crowd of witnesses there, right? Because they've laid him down through the roof, and Jesus healed him. Now, who was there? Sadducees, Pharisees, and the scribes. So I'm just making the point. The intent of this interrogation, they weren't trying to get more information. They had spies out there. They communicated. This was not something where a group of them just went on their merry way to listen to Jesus. No, they were gathering evidence, and that's what this situation is. So the point, I'm still on number 1. The aim of this interrogation was not to get more information. They already knew. What they're looking for is Jesus to open his mouth. And what they wanted was him to say something, to slip up, so they could get him in even more trouble, which they eventually killed him. So that was false interrogation to indict himself. Number 2, the questions were unfair. They were leading. When Jesus gave a reason to address the aim and the intent of the questions it came out. Because in verse 26, I think I read through 25 or 26, it said that Annas led him out to Caiaphas, who was high priest that year. They didn't get what they wanted, so they thought, well, we move this guy along, maybe he'll say something later on down the road that we can build a case against him. So false interrogation with the intent to indict himself unfair, misleading questions with no due process. And that's important, because you notice a court of law. One thing too, they'll bring you in at night, and I do some prison work, or have done in the past. When they bring a prisoner in, they will wait usually in the morning. They'll be brought before a judge, and then they'll have due process, and the charges will be filed. Notice on this point number 2, there were no charges yet brought against him. What they were doing to fish him, to take him in. And the last point I want to make, number 3, was open aggression. You know, Jesus addressed this man's, Anas's, questioning. He addressed it. He said, look, I've been there. I've taught openly. I don't have any secrets. I don't have anything in the closet. And then he was struck up by the palm of his hand by one that stood by. So number 3 today, the cost of sin was a false, misleading interrogation with the aim to destroy Jesus, which eventually they did. It cost me my sin. What do I do about it? How do I approach my life? You bet your boots. What I'm doing is I'm doing everything I can to reach out to Jesus, to be that influence. What we've said, 2 Corinthians 3:18. I'm doing everything possible because I'm growing in love. I'm going to the owner's manual. I'm sitting down openly with issues that I'm confronting, that I need to go with God. And I want to be the best version of myself, which is the trophy stand, so that Jesus Christ can be put on display. Thank you so much for liking these videos. Please keep doing that. We're growing now. We're going globally, and I'm so grateful for that. So please post your comments too. If you have any comments, questions, below the description, please continue to click the thumbs up and go out, make this a great day, but above all, make it a godly day. Be blessed.